Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Office Lovers. We are on Sadayoshi Saijo's route on Chapter 3, Fickle Passion. And this guy has me a little bit worried. Although at least he isn't the only person. I don't know, he seems to be maybe in a little bit of cahoots with one of his competitors. They seem to kind of accept each other somehow, somewhat. Anyway, let's go ahead and dig into this. You can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story. The weekend had finally arrived, and I went into town to buy some things. I think I've gotten everything I came for. Huh? A familiar figure was walking right in front of me. Mr. Saijo!
Hey, didn't expect to see you here. Are you out shopping?
Yeah, I ran out of some things. What are you here for?
I heard about some trendy lipstick from an associate, and I went to check it out.
Really? I was thinking about researching the most popular ones the other day.
I could tell you what I learned if you want.
That sounds great. I'd love to hear it.
Sure, but not here. I know it's the weekend, but how about we head to work to talk about it?
Okay, it would be more helpful to look at our data while we talk anyhow.
I'd rather be going somewhere that isn't for work with you on the weekend. Oh well.
There you go again.
I'm serious. I always tell the truth. I'm always thinking how nice it would be to have a date with you.
Cut it out! I told you it's not going to happen.
Okay, I got it.
I don't think he got it. My heart started racing when he became serious. I was able to hide my feelings by telling him off. I walked away, pressing him to follow me. Maybe this was a good chance to finally tell him, now that we're alone. I thought about the emails he had written to me lately. At the end of his mail, he always appended some sort of message. Like, I love you and stuff.
Huh?
Never mind.
You can't do that. Now I'm curious.
He looked at me with such a sad face that I couldn't resist. You know those emails you sent me?
What about them?
You know full well. I was sure he was pretending not to know just to tease me. You write messages to me whenever you send an email.
Of course I do. It's an email.
You know what I mean? Like, I love you and you're beautiful. He smirked at me and leaned to whisper in my ear.
I can't help it. My hands just move on their own.
The deep tone of his voice surprised me, and I jumped backwards, to his amusement. It made my ear tingle, so I rubbed it and hurried toward the office without looking back. I heard laughter and a voice yelling at me to stop from behind, but I ignored it. When I arrived at the office, I opened my files and notepad and went straight into work mode. I did that mostly because I didn't want to think about being in the meeting room alone with him.
Oh, are you done talking about the email so soon?
I'm putting that problem aside for now. Problem? Aw.
Which means you'll talk about it later. That makes me happy even if you call it a problem.
We've come to work, so let's talk about work. That's why I came here.
You're such a good worker. It makes me proud as your boss, but a little sad as a man.
Would you be so kind as to tell me what you've learned from your research?
Fine, I get it.
He threw his arms up in surrender before pulling out some documents from his bag. As soon as he laid them out, he scanned them with his eyes and put on his game face. Seeing that diligent face of his was mesmerizing, but I could never tell him anything of that sort.
From what I've learned, pink is the trending color lately, but there are many different types.
Is there a push for any Christmas products?
There is every year, so I'm sure there will be plenty.
What to do?
Right. Red is popular as always, but not as much as pink right now.
Look at this data for the reds. We both fixated our eyes on the report. Look at the third from the bottom. The color is there, but it's not oil-based.
That's rare. What is it then?
It's made entirely of natural ingredients. He studied the data carefully while I waited nervously for him to comment.
What if we mixed organic ingredients, like fruit or something red?
If it had a nice scent in it, that would be good. It wouldn't be hard to color either. Our meeting continued like that for some time after.
We'll need an actual sample to see how it colors and fades, but this is it for now.
Do you think a sample is doable?
With all this data, it shouldn't be a problem. We can submit this or have one made in no time.
Great! It felt good to finally be at the stage where we could run a product sample. I was ecstatic. We both smiled at each other. Our concept would never have come this far if it wasn't for Mr. Saijo. He amazed me. Soon enough, our new product would be on the path to success. With the materials and color decided, I was feeling really good about our progress. We'd already applied for a sample request, and now there was nothing to do but wait for it. I can't wait to see how it turns out. With so many great people helping, it was sure to turn out amazing. I was in such a good mood I almost started to skip on my way to work. Don't get hit by a car! I'm getting way too excited. We didn't even have a sample yet, so I needed to calm down. I took a breath to relax and swung open the door to the office. Good morning! Suddenly, everyone turned their heads toward me and started. What's going on? Everyone looked so bitter, and no one even responded to my greeting. They continued to stare at me with unfriendly eyes. Was my computer really bugged like I said, and now they think I'm the mole? I'm going to ignore it. Had I screwed something up? I couldn't recall anything like that happening, though. I tried not to let it get to me, but it still made me curious. There was no point in letting it ruin my attitude, so I shrugged it off. I walked to my desk to see Mr. Kaido and Mr. Saijo nearby. Good morning. What's going on?
There's a lot you need to know, so Mr. Saijo will help you catch up. Something bad went down. Have time to talk?
I could tell by looking at their faces how grave a situation it was. Yeah.
An email you sent to me got sent to the entire company.
When did I send? Who cares?
Well,
He was at a loss for words. It didn't seem like such a big deal to me, though. Is it because it had the reply thing and it had his endearments to me on it? While he put cheesy notes to me on his emails, all of mine were professional. Were it his mail that got leaked, it might have been a problem, but mine were safe. What was so bad about it, Mr. Saijo?
I'll finish the rest.
Mr. Kaido took a step closer to explain what Mr. Saijo was having a hard time saying.
Basically, an email in your name was sent to Mr. Saijo. It was essentially a love letter.
A love letter? From me? What? My scream echoed through the entire office. Oh, wait a second. There must be some sort of confusion.
Unfortunately, it was sent out to every email account in the company.
I'd never sent in something like that at work. Never mind. I was just about to say that if I had really sent a love letter to him, I would have checked it first. I didn't want to make this any worse than it already was. I looked at the ground since everyone was staring at me except Mr. Kaido, who looked at my computer.
Hey, Saijo, wake up. Take a look at this computer. What? Sorry. Do you care if I search around?
Mr. Saijo was acting strange. His face looked a bit more red than usual. Go ahead, search whatever you want. There was no reason for me to feel guilty. I went to back away from my desk and let him take over. Instead, he reached over me from behind to use the mouse. It was almost a hug. He was right up to me. I could feel the warmth of his body on my back. And he's blushing again. I will peek at Mr. Saijo. This is very unprofessional, you know. His cheeks seemed a bit flushed to me. Before I could become entranced by his handsome face, I tried to relax myself. The office was dead silent except for the clicking of my keyboard. Mr. Saijo brought up screen after screen, none of which I'd ever seen before. What was he doing, even? Someone good at computers might know, but not me. All I could do was watch him work on the screen, with techie words all over it.
Hey.
We whispered to each other, so quiet that no one else could hear.
Thanks.
He must be thanking me for what I said about sending a love letter. Yeah. People would notice if we whispered any longer, so he stopped with that. Does he really think I sent that letter? He continued pressing keys at a blazing speed, with incredible focus. I listened to his breath and watched his fingers. He was the only thing on my mind right now. Every time his body pushed against mine, my chest thumped harder. This was no time to be thinking about him, but I couldn't stop myself. What was wrong with me? The office was full of people, yet the only sound was that of Mr. Saijo typing on the keyboard. My heart was still beating fast with his arm wrapped around me to reach the mouse. Did you figure anything out?
Hold on. I'll be just another minute.
Okay.
Don't worry. I'll prove you innocent.
Huh?
I'm telling you to just hold tight until I clear this up for you.
He calmly reassured me, never taking his eyes off the screen. Still, everyone else was giving me a nasty look. I felt so alone and hopeless until he spoke those words to me. It made me want to cry. Thank you, Mr. Saijo. He glanced at me and plopped his hand down upon my head. A few minutes passed.
I've got it. This computer has traces of being hacked.
Seriously?
I figured out that much. There's no way I could have imagined you sending a love letter to everyone.
Mr. Kaido, thank you.
Don't thank me, thank him.
Why had I forgotten? Mr. Saijo, thank you so much. I jumped out of my chair so quickly, I almost tumbled over before bowing deeply to him. I can't thank you enough. If you hadn't been here,
I appreciate it, but before you thank me, we need to report this to someone.
Okay. Thinking it would be a good idea to let the CEO know, I started to walk away. Before I could get anywhere, Mr. Saijo turned to face all the angry stares. Mr. Saijo?
Listen, everyone. Her computer was hacked. She had nothing to do with it.
There was no reaction from the crowd, except that they started to whisper amongst themselves. I could tell Mr. Saijo was furious just by looking at his eyes. He always looked so gentle, making it all the scarier.
Make sure your computers are free from viruses. If this computer was hacked, your computers on the same network are also vulnerable. It would be a shame if you all got hacked and everyone saw what you were doing.
Mr. Saijo! With that, everyone turned back to their seats, looking a bit worried. I marched all the way to the CEO's office, but my legs locked up, too nervous to enter.
It'll be fine.
All right. Mr. Saijo stood next to me and put his hand reassuringly on my shoulder. Strange. All it took was that gesture to wipe out all my nervousness.
Relax. Close your eyes and take a deep breath.
I did as he said. Okay.
That's it. Breathe in and out. You've nothing to fear. You're innocent. I would never blame you or let anyone talk bad about you.
Thanks.
You belong to me, and don't listen to anything anyone else tells you.
Okay. I don't know about the belonging to you thing. You're right. You're right. He was the only one who tried to help me back there. But Mr. Kaido did too. He believed in me.
I'm the only one who will stick up for you in this entire world, from now until I die.
Mr. Saijo! I slowly opened my eyes to see his face right in front of mine, staring at me.
So don't worry. I'm here for you.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
No need to thank me. It's the truth.
I'm not afraid anymore.
Great, let's go.
Okay. I pushed open the door to Mr. Otori's office. Excuse me. Rarely did I ever need to enter his office. When I came in, two men were staring at me.
Come in. Welcome. Care to tell us what's going on?
Yeah. I took a step forward.
I've got your back.
His whisper gave me strength. I stood up with confidence. He was my ally. He was gentle but assertive. I could rely on him for anything. I collected my thoughts and began to explain what happened. Phew! After explaining the situation to them, I left the room, shaken but in one piece. I felt so drained of energy that I swayed on my feet. Mr. Saijo helped me so I could walk. I'm fine. I tried to push myself away from him, but it only caused me to stumble. Mr. Saijo helped me stand once again.
Take it easy. You're exhausted. That was pretty courageous of you back there.
Sorry. Thanks. He put his arm around my waist to support me. I felt his warmth seep through my clothes. If only I could close my eyes and stay like this, I could easily forget all my worries. Mr. Saijo.
What is it?
Thanks for coming to my defense and sticking up for me.
It's only natural. You didn't do anything wrong. Didn't I tell you that I would protect you no matter what?
But how long will that offer stand if I don't reciprocate? You would?
No matter where or when, I'll be there for you.
Just days ago, I would have thought he was joking. His face was so close to mine that I had to turn away. I'm fine now. Let's go. We have to explain this to everyone else.
Let's just stay like this for a moment.
His arm pulled me closer to him. No, what if someone sees? Yeah, especially right after that fiasco, you don't really want to lend credence to it.
Just for a bit, please.
Can we find a utility closet or something at least? Fine. 5 seconds.
Thanks.
While he was holding me, my entire body fell into a trance. I no longer cared if someone saw us. 5 seconds was long, but I didn't care. My mind and body were at ease. I never felt like this before. There was nothing more that I wanted than to stay like this. I surprised even myself.
It's time.
Okay, that was the deal. Let's go. As we walked onward, he matched my pace to walk alongside me. It really felt like he was escorting me, protecting me from harm. I purposely slowed my pace. Since we couldn't hold each other longer, I wanted to walk next to him as long as I could. Back at the office, the first ones to come running up were Mahiro and Kentaro. The others in the room were still looking at me with cold glares. Well, we need to send a mass email explaining the situation.
You're finally back. I heard what happened. I was so worried about you. Are you okay? What did Mr. Otori and Mr. Hyoga say to you?
These two weren't in the office when I came in this morning and had no idea either. Sorry for making you two worry. Mr. Saijo came with me and helped explain that I had been hacked. With that, Mr. Saijo stepped close next to me, very close.
It's only natural for me to come to her side, since I'm her boss. Had I not helped, we would have never figured out she was hacked.
He's right. I don't think I could prove I was innocent if not for him.
So, do you two get what I'm saying? Yeah. It's great to hear you're okay. Bye.
Uh-huh. I'm glad it got worked out so quick. Well, I must be going. Did he just scare them off that easily? After Mr. Saijo gave them a nice big smile, they both hurried away to their seats. In their place, Mr. Kaido approached us. I'm sorry for all the trouble I caused.
You don't need to apologize to me. Anyway, was Mr. Otori convinced about the hacking?
The two of them began a serious discussion, so I decided to keep quiet.
He thinks that it was some sort of prank. But he's still troubled that it was addressed from her to me. Is there anything on your computer that might make you suspicious?
Mr. Kaido gave Mr. Saijo a challenging glare. In response, he just smiled. If they found Mr. Saijo's emails to me, that would be really bad. I've never wrote anything like that before.
Oh, I can vouch for that. I know better than anyone that she would never do something like that.
I must yell at him. Don't say things like that, especially at work. You're going to make it worse than it already is.
Well, work it out between yourselves. I can't help you there.
Mr. Kaido turned away and left. I wonder what he meant by that. Suddenly, I was being dragged by my arm.
Come now, we can talk outside. It's almost lunch anyhow.
Okay. His expression revealed the problem was a lot more serious than I had ever thought. We headed into a restaurant, picking seats that were the farthest away from anyone else. Our food had already come, but my appetite wasn't there, so I sipped on coffee instead.
What I need to point out is the fact that someone knows about our relationship.
I thought that too.
Come on, eat up. It'll help you feel better.
Okay. He hadn't touched his food despite what he said. Tension hung thick in the air.
It's all my fault anyway. I came on to you even though we were told not to have a relationship.
But wait, if they just wanted us to get in trouble for that, then how come... Wait, if it's a love letter they needed, you've actually written those to me. Why would they go through the effort of sending one from me to you? There isn't any reason they couldn't have hacked your computer, right?
It's the same as yours, being a company computer and all.
Which means they could have hacked yours if they wanted to, but they didn't. I think there's some reasoning behind having the mail sent by me. Is there somebody who likes Mr. Saijo and wants to get me out of the picture by getting me in trouble?
I see. I bet it is someone in our project that did it.
But that's all men, so it can't be someone who liked Mr. Saijo then. Mr. Saijo, you shouldn't say that.
Well, I was joking. There's no one in our team that would have the guts to do something like that anyhow. There's only a few amongst them that could hate our guts while hiding it that well. And I know for sure if it was one of them that did it just by looking at them. So relax. Whoever did it isn't anyone you know. At least, not at first glance.
His face was calm and confident, so much so that it seemed scary. How was he so sure of it when he had only just started to work with the others recently? It surprised me how he was able to claim such things so easily with a straight face.
We just have to wait and see. Whoever did it is likely to strike again sometime. Unfortunately, I'll also have to stop sending you messages for the time being.
He reached out and clasped my hand. Mr. Saijo? I was embarrassed, but couldn't find it in me to pull away. I fell victim to his eyes. The old me would have shook his hand off, but I had changed since then. I couldn't move away. I needed his warmth. His gaze pulled me in, and for that moment time stopped. He was the center of my life. Mr. Saijo. He squeezed my hand and smiled like an angel.
I'll think of something. Something that will make whoever did it think twice about coming near you again.
His voice was cold as ice. It's already this late? Busy working on reports. Before I knew it, the office was almost vacant. It was around 9 o'clock. I picked up my things and stood up from my chair. Good night. There were only a few people left, but there was no one near me, so I snuck out of the office. Though my name was in the clear, I couldn't help but feel guilty to be in a work relationship. To that end, I had been avoiding people as much as possible. The city was bustling, and people were excited that it was Friday. I was the only one wearing a frown. Phew! All the stress and worries weighed on my shoulders. I felt like running away. I need to cheer up. No matter how hard I thought, there was no likely suspect for what happened. According to Mr. Saijo, the suspect wasn't likely someone I knew, so at least that was a relief. I can't just rely on Mr. Saijo for everything. He said he would stop sending me messages, but I needed to do my part as well. Much to my disappointment, I had to keep my distance from him, or it might raise red flags. Huh? In front of me were two familiar figures. It was Mr. Saijo and Mr. Kaido, walking and having a conversation. Were they heading home? Scare them! No, I'm going to talk to them. I should try calling their name. I never got to say goodbye to them today. Picking up my pace, I got near them, but there were so many people out for the weekend. Hey, Mr.
You're so cute. Why don't you come into our bar for a while?
Don't bother me, can't you say I'm chasing someone? A person out to get customers got in my path and started talking to me. Darn it! I hurried back to get close to them again. Shoving my way to a distance close enough to hear, I took a deep breath to shout at them. It was a split second before I opened my mouth when I heard their voices.
That was a little rash, I know. Even Mr. Hyuga heard about it. How many times did I tell you to be careful? Yeah, I know. I'll be more clever about it next time. Can you say that to Muraki's face? Wait, hey, heading home?
Yes, I was going to say hi, but then I got distracted by your conversation.
Whatever, no big deal. Right, Kaido? Yeah.
I felt pretty uneasy with what I'd heard. Mr. Saijo didn't give me a chance to ask about it either. What were they thinking about exactly, and who was this Muraki person? Uh-oh. I hope neither of these guys is a mole. Please be good guys. Well, that's it for me for the night. I've been up a little too late. Next chapter, chapter 4, will be Trapped Feelings. So yeah, this game seems to be more worth it because longer chapters and everything. That's been 3 chapters so far, and they've all been a pretty good length. So I'd say this is much more worth it than some of the Dogenzaka games have been. Although I expected things to move a little faster in the relationship after that first chapter and all, but looks like we're in for a little more intrigue, which is cool because I don't like it when games are just about the relationship. I like there to be a side story as well. I don't know, I get bored of it. I mean, even this was a little bit iffy for me because I like there to be action, but, you know, office settings, school settings, stuff like that usually kind of bore me. So it's nice having this little bit of intrigue in here for me. Alright, well, I hope to see you in my future videos. And I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.